Good morning, we're on the road. Day one of our RV trip across the southwest United States and up the California coastline. So it's a little bit later in the morning than we would have normally left on a trip, but we needed to wait long enough for the tire place to open because we needed to air up our tires on the RV to make sure that we were safe and they traveled well. Today we're going to travel as far as San Angelo. It's not a huge travel day for us, but the focus of today was really to practice setting up the RV since we have not camped in the RV for several months. And we're excited to be on the road and to be able to share our journey with you. So Mark, what are you looking forward to about this trip overall?
Well, I'm excited about the variety of different things that we're planning to do. We're planning to see a lot of beaches. We're planning to see a redwood forest, sea caves. We're hoping that we can collect agates and sea glass and shells and all kinds of things. I'm looking forward to the variety of different activities and things that we're going to get to see.
So I'll give you three guesses, and the second two don't count. What do you think I'm looking most forward to?
The beaches.
No doubt about that. I love the beach. So I'm looking forward to doing some beach combing and getting my feet in the water in the Pacific Ocean. And we also have a very special stop that I'm looking forward to in Oregon. It's pretty unique, and we'll share a little bit more about that later. So here we go. So we made it to San Angelo. We're all set up. Come on in. On this side, we have our queen size bed. There is actually a couch under here. So when it's just the two of us, we don't bother lifting it up. We're probably not going to have company while we're here. We've got our dinette set with seating and our tiny, tiny kitchen. And so this was one of the things that we really struggled with the most. There's so little counter space here and so little storage. This under the sink storage is mainly the pipes and things like that. So I did some hunting and found some metal shelving that would work. I really had to take measurements and figure out what exactly would fit. So we did get a couple shelves in there. The other side is pretty well useless. Did the same thing up here. I found a metal shelf that we could expand that to at least have two shelves. We found that using buckets and crates and things like that has been really helpful, and it also helps keep things in place when we're traveling, because it does jostle and things can fall down when we're traveling. We do have a microwave, and you know, I love my farm sink at home, but when you're camping, one of the things you want to do is really save water. So I remember, whoa, that's loud. I remembered our camping days when we were kids. Mom always had buckets to wash dishes in, so that stays in there. When we wash in the bucket, it saves a lot of water. It makes it so we have to empty our gray tanks a lot less frequently. One of the other things that I saw online was also, okay, where am I going to put the dishes when they're drying? And I saw online that you take just a cooling rack and you put it across the sink and dry your dishes here. It works okay, but it falls down a little too easily. So I'm going to have to figure out something to help hold that in place, you know, maybe some command strips at the end if we really wanted to continue using that. If all else fails, I found, you know, the great drying rack that can just sit on top of the stove, since it does have this glass cover on it. So we do have the table on the other side we can use for a flat surface, but I just struggled with having room to really set things. For example, one time we were camping and I had the crock pot, and like, where do I put the crock pot? Because there was no plug close enough to the table, and I didn't want to take up the space by the sink. So we came up with this idea. We cut a piece of plywood and I covered it with contact paper. And this just sits on this bottom bunk to give us another flat space, because there is a plug right inside of there. So it keeps it flat, it keeps it safe, and nice things, it's heavy enough even on travel days, it doesn't fall. Last thing we did as far as increasing space, we had this leftover door from my sewing machine table that had a defect in it. So we ordered another one. I added little felt pads on the bottom, and this fits perfectly if we're not needing water from them. This fits perfectly over the sink, and it's a great space just if you're having to do some marinating or mixing or whatever you need to do. It just gives you another flat surface to set things on. All right, so let's check out the bathroom. We have a pretty good sized bathroom. except one of the things we're missing in the camper overall, there is just no place to hang anything. We even tried expansion rods hanging over the top bunk, and there's just not enough height to them. So the best we found is to put the hooks over the door. It can be towels, it can be a few hangers, but that's one of the solutions we still haven't come up with. The other thing is, in the bathroom, there's no place to put anything. You'll see the size of the sink is very much like the kitchen, where there's not a lot of space to put things. So I went on Amazon and found these really cool racks. There's a long adhesive strip that hooks on. It's very strong. You want to be sure that you have it in the place you want it before you let go. And these racks can be removed and moved to another location, and they just snap back into place. So I have some here, some for toothbrushes, and I also put some in the shower, and they're pretty heavy duty. As you see, I've got 4 bottles in there, and they do really well. In all transparency, we have not had our RV through the Texas heat in the summer, so I'm kind of curious to see what happens with the Texas heat and that adhesive. We've had some people say, I don't think it's going to hold, and some, well, you know, we'll just call this an experiment. One of the other really cool things I purchased, I love this, and it's in my favorite colors as well. It's got those turquoise edges. This Butler broom and dustpan works great for the small spaces, and I found this on Amazon as well. Okay, one last thing I brought for this trip specifically. You know, being in this camper in a small space, you know, being out by the water, hiking, sleeping, I was afraid it might get a little bit funky. So I did bring my electric Scentsy air freshener. 1 extra pod, hopefully we'll get through the trip with it not smelling too weird.